Today, folks, we are talking about how to network and advance at your job as a minority. What do we mean by minority? Meaning everybody's Chinese and you're white, or everybody's white and you're black, everyone's dumb and you're smart. Whatever the case is, you are one of few. Now, the reason this is important is twofold. Number one, I'm going to give you meaningful advice in advancing in business and at your job generally, and also particular advice if you are a minority, meaning that you are automatically outside the mainstream culture of your company for whatever reason. So let's first get started. Number one, you always have to ask yourself the right questions, which is, firstly, can I go into a setting in which me being a minority is to my advantage? The answer is actually yes. And you should always seek to start there. Why? Major tenet of Marquettism: plant your seed in fertile ground. Why go somewhere where things are tough when you can go somewhere where things are easy? Case in point. Now, admittedly, I'm an entrepreneur. I haven't worked for someone else for a decade. But number one, for example, when I went to China, and I was doing business with the government there, I was with a whole group of entrepreneurs from around the world. I was the only black man there. And I noticed when the cameras were following us around, the videographer and photographer, I was the primary person they were trying to get in all the shots. Why? Because they wanted to speak of diversity. And when you look at a photograph, no one stands out more than the person of a radically different complexion. So in that case, being a minority was an advantage. There are companies that obviously value diversity. So I think number one, you should start there, where you have some level of welcome, where being in your unique position can be an advantage. That's number one. Number two, and let's keep it real. One thing I'm all about is starting from reality and going from there, because unless you acknowledge the truth, you cannot navigate the true situation. So step one, when you say you're a minority trying to advance at your job, the presupposition is that there's some level of hatred, misunderstanding, because you're different, which may or may not be true. Here's the first thing. When you're a minority, let's say you're in Sweden and you're Somali, for example, there are negative stereotypes associated with your race and culture, similar to if you were an African American trying to thrive at a Fortune 500 corporation in the United States. You would have to ask yourself, is there any truth to the negative associations with my race, culture, and ethnicity? Yes, there are. I'll give you an example. I went to elite universities. Less than 1% of the population was black. Of the black students that were there, I remember having a class with them, History of Africa. First thing that you had to do was be able to recreate a map of Africa by hand and label all of the capitals of the countries, which for students at an elite university is really child's play. It's just an exercise in memory. I offered to study with the other 3 African American kids in the class. They all said they would study with me, but when it was time to follow up, they never did. This professor said, because this assignment is so basic and so easy, and I will not accept underperformance, I will be posting everyone's grade publicly. When he posts everyone's exam grade, you could see the 3 lowest scores were those 3 African American kids. My score was a perfect score at the top with everyone else. I say that to say, at some level, when you walk in the door at a corporation, and you're in a homogenous country, like say Sweden, or you're in a country where the highest achievers are of one primary group, like the United States, most Fortune 500 companies, primarily white. If it's a tech company, it'll be primarily Asian. When you walk in the door, they're expecting you to underperform, not necessarily because they are racist, but in part because the people who look like you are prone to underachieve, prone to not speak the mainstream of the dominant language in that country, meaning that if you're African American in the United States, you do not speak the Queen's English, meaning that if you're Somali in Sweden, you do not speak with the proper accent, whatever the case may be. So I say that to say, when you come in the door, you should know that you're up against a lot. But most of it is imagination. They're imagining you to be someone that you're not. So your number one goal is to make a strong first impression and follow up that first impression with tremendous amounts of credibility. How do you do that? Well, first and foremost, you need to start in being well dressed. That's step one, meaning you're always suited and booted. On casual Friday, you're not really that casual. In fact, it's formal Monday, formal Tuesday, formal Thursday, formal Friday. I think you get the point. You're always dressed up to the T. But here's the key. You don't want to be so outside of the culture by being too dressed up, meaning that if your company culture is necktie and dress shirt, you do necktie, dress shirt, and blazer. If your company culture is just dress shirt, no necktie, you do dress shirt and necktie. Just one step above what is required, and that should be your general mindset. So that's with your appearance. Secondly, when I was a young boy, my grandmother always said, you will not get your ears pierced. You will not get tattoos. I did not understand at the time. I just thought that she was old-fashioned. Come to realize as I aged that, number one, the earrings are how people categorize you. They see all of these African Americans sagging their pants, earrings, tattoos, and all these things become a part of a collective identity that makes them associate you with a rapper or associate you with the criminal class. So if you do wear earrings in your spare time, take them out. Do not wear them in the work environment or at social environments related to work like happy hours. If you have tattoos, I recommend you cover them up. You might say, Marquett, what if my white colleagues have tattoos? Well, you're not white. Hey, and your number one issue right now is not only fitting in, but being a part of the cream of the crop, being viewed in high esteem. And to do that, you must behave a little bit differently than everyone else. So that's number one. We already talked about your code of dress. Let's talk about language. You should always err to being more formal, meaning always be polite, never curse, don't speak vulgarity, speak the mainstream of whatever language is dominant in your country, meaning the official language. You should speak that like the most educated person. Now, that doesn't mean be so formal and robotic that people cannot relate to you. Still be friendly, keep a smile on, crack a clean joke. And let me give you a few pointers on things not to talk about. Don't talk about your ill health. Don't talk about money problems. Don't criticize your boss. Don't criticize your colleagues. Never talk about women. Never talk about anything sexually explicit. Don't flirt with your female colleagues and don't sleep with them. It only leads to bad things. It will adversely affect you as you try to climb the ladder. You must keep your nose clean, as we say in the United States. Now, let me give you a major tip. When you're in business and when you're at a company, the way that you advance is twofold. Part one is that you must have work ethic. You must put out quality work. You must be known for good work. Part two is friendship, meaning people have to like you. No one gets promoted just because they have good work. And no one gets promoted just because people like you. It must be that meaningful combination of the two occurring in parallel. But the important thing is this. With regards to people liking you, never get too relaxed and too friendly. It's a trick. You might think, wow, these people are my friends. We're chums. We've been working together for years. The truth is that in a work environment, you're still in a competitive environment wherein you may be competing for advancement with your colleagues and your friends. So inasmuch as that's the case, you should never become entirely loose. No matter how friendly you become, know that there's still a probability that the other person lacks integrity and will stab you in the back. Or know that there's still a probability that the other person, no matter how nice and friendly they are behaving as a double agent and gathering information on you to talk behind your back, maybe to your colleagues or maybe to the person who could promote you. So inasmuch as possible, you should always be on guard while being friendly and smiling. Never be too relaxed. Do not divulge personal information about yourself. Always keep the conversation focused on the other person. So that's how you engage and build relationships while also making sure that you don't make yourself vulnerable. Also, being that you are an outsider, you need to invest as much time as possible in building familiarity and building bonds and friendships, which means anytime there is a networking event, a happy hour event, if you can organize it, You should be the one to organize it. At the very least, you should always be the one to attend it. Make sure that you greet every single person there. You shake their hand, you get some FaceTime in, and you engage in sincere conversation. You remember the names of their family members. You ask how they're doing. You engage the situation like a boss. With regards to work ethic not only involves the quality of your work products, but it also involves perception. For example, if your boss is walking down the hall and looks into your cubicle and sees you on your mobile phone, even if you were conducting work on your mobile phone, it looks bad. Even if you were just checking one text message and that's the only thing you checked that day, it looks bad. There are two things you don't want to be caught doing. One is playing on your mobile phone and being off task, and two is engaging in too much water cooler conversation, meaning that you're being idle while on the clock. I recommend that you appear highly focused when you are on the clock, and if you must check your phone, you should go to the bathroom, go inside of a stall, close the door, and then check your phone. That's how important it is to maintain the appearance of being only focused. That way, people are less inclined to question you and to question the quality of your work and the focus that you put into that work. Secondly, the numbers don't lie, the data doesn't lie. Importantly, if you're in an industry where you think that you're an outsider, a minority, and people will disadvantage you for that fact, you should make sure that you're working in a particular job function where there's data to demonstrate the quality of your work so that when you do want the promotion, you can go into your boss's office and say, hey there, boss, I'm in sales, and for us to be successful in sales, it requires a couple things. Number one, that we make a lot of phone calls. Number two, we set up a lot of meetings. And finally, that we close deals for as much money as possible. I have two sheets here, the sheet of my data and then the sheet of the company average. You see that the company average, people make 500 calls per week. I make 2,000 calls per week. You see that people on average set up 73 meetings a week. I set up 140 meetings per week. The average person here closes $300,000 a year in sales. I close $2 million in sales. What I'm saying is that I have been performing over a consistent amount of time, and I think that if you move me up to the next level, I can bring in even bigger deals. So I think it'll be mutually beneficial if you promote me, increase my salary to compensate me for the value that I'm bringing. So you have an argument, you have data to back it up. And then when they think about you, they'll say, hey, no, I really like Marquett. Marquett's an honest man. He works really hard. I can't think of one time seeing him off task or playing on his phone. He's extremely focused. He knows everyone. People like him. I think he can perform at the next level. And that is the perception that you want. Folks, I think that's enough for you to get started on today. If you can stick with those pieces of information that I've already identified, you will do well. I was raised by a Southerner, a woman who literally grew up picking cotton. The fact is that she told me, as a black man in this society, you must be 3 times better than your white counterpart. And that's okay. Life is not fair. If you understand and go in with that basic mindset of knowing life's not fair and I'm not going to complain, and hey, this is a white society created by white people so that white folks can advance, and that's fair. They should look out for themselves. I am at some level a guest in the society. How do I know? Because it's 70% white and it's like 10% me. I'm a guest here. And as a guest in someone else's house, when I come into their house, I should be respectful and I should work my ass off so that eventually I own the house. So folks, stay focused, work hard. That's the only way to win, and be clever. And as I must say, as an entrepreneur and as a businessman, while you are there working, learn every skill you can so that at some point you can go off on your own, because you will never be treated more fairly than when you're the boss. So folks, I hope that helps you very much. Marquett Devon Burton signing off.